Welcome back. For most of the past decade, the African country of Eritrea has been one of the great untold stories. Not that journalists aren't trying, it's just that the government there does not tolerate a free press and hasn't since 2001. For the last 3 years, when the media freedom group Reporters Without Borders compiled its annual press freedom ranking looking at every country in the world, it had Eritrea dead last at 175th. That's behind Iran, Myanmar, even North Korea. It is not easy for reporters to get into Eritrea, but the Listening Post's Sinead O'Shea recently went in undercover. This is her report.
This is Eritrea, sometimes called the North Korea of Africa. Eritrea is the only African country to have no privately owned news media. In 2005, the US-based Committee to Protect Journalists described it as one of the world's leading jailers of journalists. For much of the last decade, it has been impossible for foreign journalists to travel there independently to investigate what it's like on the ground. The few reporters allowed into the country have been subject to strict controls. It's a situation that the Paris-based media watchdog Reporters Without Borders monitors closely. And what they reveal is a country that is the most dangerous place in the world for journalists, where all independent media, every newspaper, radio and TV station have been shut down, and over 30 journalists have been arrested in Eritrea since 2001. 4 of them have lost their lives.
Medane Haile is part of the 4 that we know who died in prison. For the 3rd year now, in 2009, Eritrea was ranked in the last position of our index, basically because it is a country where there is absolutely no press freedom. Being a journalist is very difficult there because if you want to express your own opinion, you are immediately arrested.
Reporters Without Borders have been paying close attention to Eritrea because of a new crackdown by the government on a radio station there.
We knew there was a new crackdown in February on Radio Bana, and we knew that dozens of journalists had been arrested. So we decided to investigate for months on the situation of prisoners, and in September we were able to say that there are now at least 32 journalists being jailed. It's no press freedom. The only media that are tolerated and that are there in Eritrea are controlled by the state.
We wanted to find out more and decided to travel undercover to Eritrea, posing as tourists. At first glance, Eritrea seems a peaceful and inviting place, but we soon found out that first impressions can be misleading. Moving around the country is difficult, as there are just 3 roads open to us, and the permits and security checks needed were time-consuming and complicated. People were afraid to talk freely to us, which made it impossible to work normally as a journalist. We were stopped when we pointed the camera in the wrong direction.
We've just come back to our hotel fairly rapidly. We were filming on the street and a man with very good English pulled up and told us to stop filming, and he said he would catch up with us later. So we're back here and we're digitising the footage that we've just filmed.
It was these images they didn't want us to record. Food queues are common and prices hugely inflated inside the deserted supermarkets. So I wanted to hear from people about why it was like this. But when we asked, the employee became nervous and uncomfortable. For her own safety, we've decided not to show her on camera.
Why are they so expensive?
Expensive? I don't know.
Watching the state-controlled television in Eritrea told its own story too. Television news consists of carefully selected news items intercut with segments from other channels. Coincidentally, these appear to support government interests.
The US have been very belligerent towards Eritrea. I think it needs to change politically and engage with Eritrea.
While much of the remaining output is focused on military matters. The internet is available, but is extremely slow, and many sites are impossible to access. The print media, which are all pro-government, take a patriotic line.
Many of the articles in the English language newspaper here focus on the global media's bad behaviour, their mission as they see it to portray Eritrea in a poor light.
The Eritrean newspapers make valid points about how the media can be used to advance political agendas. With this in mind, and despite our best efforts, we were unable to find anybody who could speak on camera with us in Eritrea. This man was one of the few who offered any kind of explanation for the country's current situation. His voice has been disguised.
I would say misery has made us to think that way, because we have passed, even the past 30 years of struggle has taught us a lot. This is a big history. We learn from that.
Eritrea won independence from its much larger neighbour Ethiopia in 1993 against near impossible odds. And the scars from that war are still visible all over the countryside and again every night on Eritrean TV screens. In 2001, the government, led by Isaias Afwerki, began the first of numerous crackdowns on the media, and journalists began to be arrested or disappeared.
And in Eritrea, the only information you can get on the ground is coming from the Ministry of Information or from the government, which want to relay propaganda and war ideas against the international community in general.
Carefully, we prepared to smuggle our account of what we've seen out of the country. Closed to the outside world, Eritrea feels like a place still at war, with a government unable to break old habits of control and censorship, and a media that has been scared into silence.
More Global Village Voices now on the state of reporting in Eritrea.
The media coverage on Eritrea over the last number of years has been very biased, unfair, and it is as if it's designed to demonize the country and does not reflect the reality of the country at all. The great achievements Eritrea has registered in terms of its food security, in terms of health, in terms of the huge investment that is made in all sectors of the infrastructure, does not actually get aired on the media.
How well is Africa covered by the media? Well, with the exception of one or two remarkable journalists, I'd say very poorly. In today's celebrity-obsessed society, the only thing that would get Eritrea any exposure in the British media at the moment would be if Madonna were to pop over there to acquire another child, or David Beckham were to jet in for a photo opportunity. Then there will be media relevance.
Finally, Jason Mraz is an American songwriter who had a huge hit this year with a song called I'm Yours. The first time you hear it, you think, catchy little ditty, but it's received so much airplay that the 50th time you hear it, it's pretty annoying. Now it's been reworked by a 5-year-old Japanese boy on a ukulele, and all of a sudden it's not so annoying anymore. Maybe because the boy doesn't know and therefore cannot sing the lyrics. The original version of the song was big in Japan, but thanks to YouTube, the kid on the ukulele is big everywhere. And with more than 4 million hits, we've made him our web video of the week. See you next time at The Listening Post.